Usually, when an NHL player agrees to sign a contract, they're happy or at least accepting towards the overall team situation. However, as circumstances are oftentimes throwing curveballs, the trade request option is exercised from time to time. In this video, we're going to go over a few NHL players that have formally requested trades. We'll touch on their current situations, contracts, and where they could be traded to. And with that, here are 3 NHL players who want to be traded. It seems like almost forever ago that news broke of Evgeny Kuznetsov's trade request being submitted. As is sometimes the case, it was a he said, she said sort of battle between the media and the longtime Caps forward. Back in March, news broke due to a Russian media report that Kuznetsov had reportedly asked Caps management for a trade 2 seasons prior to no avail. And according to Elliotte Friedman, the relationship between player and team management had become strained at best. Kuznetsov refuted the accusations while saying, "You know how it is. It's just people trying to get the likes on Instagram or Twitter or whatever," he says. However, when looking at his overall situation for the past few seasons, well, it would be understandable as to why he would talk about wanting out. For one, Kuznetsov had seen his minutes cut sharply starting in the 2021-2022 campaign. The forward witnessed his average time on ice drop to just over 16.5 minutes per game. If the report is on point, this would have been 2 seasons before the story broke. While his ice time has fluctuated and went back up, there's also the state of the team to consider as well. For Kuznetsov's first 8 seasons with Washington, the team qualified for the playoffs. After winning the Cup, however, despite making the playoffs, the Caps struggled to get past the first round. To make matters worse, last season, just like their division rival Pittsburgh, they didn't make the postseason at all. Anyways, over the offseason, as the Caps were enjoying their longest summer break in a hot minute, the team website posted an interesting tidbit. In an article I'll link below, published by Mike Vogel, the evidence that Kuznetsov did indeed request a trade was finally out in the open. As the season became close to commencing, an article surfaced in which Kuznetsov finally admitted that yes, he did and has wanted out of Washington. While conducting an interview in the off-season in his home country, he went on to corroborate what the initial story last March claimed. This all goes over time like a snowball, accumulating back and forth. Rumors just don't come out of nowhere. This has been going on for 2 years now. I sat with the general manager and talked. We talked for about an hour. Let's try to change the situation for the better so that you feel better and I feel better. So there is no feeling that I am the odd one out on the team, he says. Unfortunately though, despite GM McClellan's attempts at making a trade, nothing has stuck thus far. According to Elliotte Friedman, the closest Kuznetsov came to getting moved was in a botched deal during the last entry draft that would have sent him to the Music City. And it probably didn't help the fact that the forward finished last season with his worst shooting percentage out of his entire career, as Kuznetsov finished with 55 points in 81 games played. Knowing that he has an AAV of $7.8 million, it doesn't hold up today. If we compare other contracts that were inked around the same time in 2017, well, we'll see names such as Leon Draisaitl and Nathan MacKinnon pop up. While the deal does expire in 2025, there's still another obstacle for McClellan in trading his player, as Kuznetsov has a modified no-trade clause that allows for him to submit a 10-team no-trade list. Some teams that would make sense for him to be traded to are the Arizona Coyotes, Nashville Predators, and the Chicago Blackhawks. Before we get back to the video, I quickly want to let you all know that Liquid IV is having a major sale on all of their products. With US Thanksgiving days away, it's no secret that several of you will be enjoying a drink or two, or however many you plan to have. Therefore, having something that hydrates you twice as fast as water does handy will help save you from a rough morning after. For 30% off your entire purchase, simply use my promo code AlyssaHope in all caps to receive your discount. All purchases will go towards the channel and will help support my YouTube endeavors. Simply click the link below to get started. And now, back to the video. Recently, defenseman Nikita Zadorov was added to the lengthy list of players in recent years that have wanted out of Calgary. Johnny Gaudreau, Matthew Tkachuk, and Tyler Toffoli are just a few names that either signed elsewhere or were traded upon request. With Daryl Sutter now out of the picture, there's still been this underlying feeling that Calgary just isn't the place to be. Respectfully, pending UFAs Elias Lindholm and Noah Hannafin also have yet to make their final decisions on remaining with the Flames. Therefore, this season's progression will ultimately dictate where GM Craig Conroy and his team go from here. One item on the agenda will be moving Zadorov here in the near future. As is often the case, players' agents are often rather protective over their clients. Most of us can remember Marc-Andre Fleury's agent, for example, Alan Walsh, causing a stir in the last season that the Flower was with the Vegas Golden Knights. And in less dramatic fashion, Zadorov's agent Dan Milstein broke the news that his client indeed is wanting out of Alberta. Also, according to Milstein, Zadorov feels like he doesn't receive adequate ice time from head coach Ryan Huska. At 6'7", Zadorov will be of interest to teams that are looking to add some physicality to their back end. The defenseman, while not shying away from dropping the gloves, can also contribute offensively when needed. While he probably won't be winning the Norris anytime soon, Zadorov can still notch a good 20 or so points per season. Last season, for instance, he recorded 21 points, with 14 of those impressively being goals in a full season's play. At this point in time, the top team that's been linked to Zadorov has been the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is mainly due to the fact that, according to The Athletic, he would gladly welcome the move to Leafland. Obviously, this would make sense. Toronto has been in need of more grit, specifically on the blue line lately. And according to the Toronto Star, the feeling is mutual. The article also goes on to mention that, according to NHL insider Darren Dreger, the New Jersey Devils and the Vancouver Canucks have also shown interest. The pending UFA is set to come off a contract this summer that's sporting a 3.75 AAV. This amount shouldn't be overly difficult for prospective teams to fit on the books hypothetically. Unlike the Washington Capitals and Calgary Flames, the Vancouver Canucks are trending upwards. After picking up the pieces in the post-Jim Benning era, GM Patrick Allvin is now beginning to see the end of the tunnel. Now that head coach Rick Tocchet has had some adequate time to implement his system, things on ice for the Nucks seem to be in sync. As for the first time in quite a while, Vancouver is currently within the top 3 in the Pacific. However, despite this, there's one player on the Nucks roster that would still rather be elsewhere, and that is Canucks forward Connor Garland. Back close to the time that the regular season was to commence, word broke that Garland had requested a trade. Now, yes, the media did kind of twist things to fit a narrative slightly because no insider said point blank that a formal trade request was submitted. However, there's 2 pieces of information that strongly suggest that he did. One, around the time that the headlines broke that Garland was seeking a trade, the forward had decided to fire his agent, Peter Cooney, and to hire Judd Moldalver instead. Secondly, according to insider Elliot Friedman, the team granted Garland permission to speak to prospective suitors. Connor Garland and the Vancouver Canucks have reached an understanding that he is able to look for trades with other teams in the NHL to see if there's a better fit for him, Friedman revealed. However, actually moving Garland will be easier said than done for Allvin. As most of us can remember, former GM Jim Benning made a lot of moves that could be deemed head-scratchers, and the trade ultimately sending Garland and Oliver Ekman-Larsson to BC was definitely one of them. While the Ekman-Larsson contract has been dealt with, it's probably going to be harder to find a resolution in this case. Currently, halfway through his 5-year, $24.75 million deal, Garland, despite putting up decent numbers, doesn't have a lot of trade value on the market. Following 46 points, notched last campaign in 81 games, Garland has and continues to prove that he doesn't have to get top 6 minutes to be productive. Another perk of Garland's game is his 5-on-5 play, as only 12 of those 46 points he recorded came on the man advantage. As far as potential trade partners go, according to the Hockey News, the Nashville Predators, Washington Capitals, Winnipeg Jets, and Columbus Blue Jackets have all been linked to the Massachusetts native. While it does really seem like Garland's best time to move is in the off-season, this is still a story worth keeping a watch on. In conclusion, I have a feeling that Zadorov will be the first one to be moved off of this list. His contract is reasonable, he has a large frame and bite to his game. As for the other two, I say off-season trades and or buyouts would make more sense. If you enjoyed this video and aren't subscribed, please consider subscribing. I'm regularly uploading videos regarding NHL news, trade talk, and more. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.